So I need to start by saying that I was the person who rolled my eyes at those, $100,000 manifestation thumbnails on YouTube. They're the ones with the shocking face emojis and the money raining down, those kind of thumbnails. And it looked like someone just discovered the caps lock button and they're having a seizure. But here I am. But 90 days after starting a specific Dr. Joe Dispenza experiment, I was looking at my bank account and trying to make sense of what the heck just happened. And I kept asking myself, was it really the meditation? Was it just a coincidence? Or did I just get lucky? I mean, let's be real. Most manifestation videos feel like you're watching someone trying to explain why their imaginary friend is real. Okay? Look, just believe hard enough, okay? And money will fall from the sky. This is my friend. Yeah, right. And for context, when this $100,000 manifested, I'd been studying Joe's work for about 3 years before that, reading books, doing all the meditations, sometimes consistently, sometimes not. And I was like that person who buys a gym membership in January, then uses it as an expensive place to hang their laundry by February. So I'd have these little breakthroughs here and there, but nothing that fundamentally shifted my life. I was still in the same income bracket back then, still dealing with the same worries about money. And then in January 2023, after let's say a particularly rough holiday season financially, the kind where you're giving people IOUs instead of presents, that's when I decided to get serious, right? But all in serious. And I want to be super clear about something. For me, it wasn't about visualizing checks or repeating affirmations. It wasn't about vision boards or saying money comes to me easily while my bank account is sending me overdraft notifications. It was about the foundational shift in how I related to energy, abundance, and creation. Okay, the essence of it all. And honestly, for the first 2 weeks, nothing happened, at least nothing external. But internally, I was changing how I felt. But my circumstances still looked exactly the same on the 3D. However, by week 3, I started noticing these small shifts in how opportunities were coming to me. And by week 6, oh my God, I generated an unexpected $27,000 through channels or sources that I didn't even consider before, like the infinite possibilities of the universe. And so, something really strange happened after all this. As I continued the practice, it wasn't like I was pushing or hustling anymore. If anything, I was working less, but with more focus and more alignment. So the energy that I was bringing to my work completely transformed. And let me tell you, by day 90, looking at my accounts, the total was just over $103,000 as well. And I remember sitting at my desk that one day, looking at my numbers and feeling like this weird sense of calm. Like not excitement, not disbelief, just this quiet knowing that this was a natural result of the energetic shift that I've been cultivating. It felt normal. And so what I realized though is that Dr. Joe's work isn't about manifesting specific amounts of money, but it's about becoming a different frequency that naturally attracts different experiences. And so the $100,000 wasn't the miracle. The transformation in the energy was the miracle, okay? The money was just the physical evidence of that shift. And I share this because I know how it feels to do a meditation, read the books, watch the workshops, and still wonder, but how do I exactly apply this in my life? How do I feel, sense, touch what I want to create? And I had these questions for years, and now I have the answer that actually worked for me. So if you've been practicing Joe's work and feeling like there's some piece that's missing between the meditation cushion and your bank account, I get it. That gap frustrated me for years. It was like having all the ingredients for cake but no recipe. Like you're just sitting there with your eggs and flour on your face, wondering why you don't have cake yet. Because I ate it. But hey, what's up my friend? Kevin here. Just a quick heads up for all the entrepreneurs and professionals watching this. If you have been feeling stuck but you know you're capable of more, I've got a few spots open right now for my one-on-one mentorship. In this program, I'll personally guide you through my identity frequency mapping process to break through the patterns holding you back so you can create the results that you've been chasing. Whether that's more income, more freedom to spend time with your loved ones, or finally living the life that you've envisioned for so long. Now, I can only work with a handful of clients at a time to give you my full attention, and spots tend to actually go very quickly. So if you are interested in making the shift now, then please click on the link below this video, book a call, and let's see if we're a good fit to work together. Now back to the video. What if there's a specific system that bridges that gap? A way to translate elevated emotions into money. But before I dive into that, let me tell you what I didn't do. Okay? I didn't visualize checks coming to me with specific amounts. I didn't repeat 100 I'm wealthy affirmations 100 times a day. I didn't join some weird pyramid scheme or crypto cult. I nearly though. I didn't sacrifice a goat under the full moon, but I did consider it after being broke for so long. Okay? What I did was much more simple, but also much deeper. And it started with the understanding the biggest mistake I was making with Dr. Joe's work, which was, and I see this everywhere, I was meditating from a place of survival. And I want to explain what I mean. For 3 years, when I would sit down to meditate, my body was in full stress mode. Shoulders up to my ears, jaws clenched like I was at the dentist office. And my breathing was so shallow, a goldfish had more oxygen than me. But here I was, trying to manifest abundance while my body is literally in fight or flight mode, survival chemicals. It's like trying to attract a peaceful relationship while punching a wall. Like, come on, dude, the signals don't match. And Dr. Joe talks about this all the time. You can't create a new future while living in the emotions of the past. But I was doing exactly that. I was meditating with the same energy that I used to check my bank accounts, right? Stressed, anxious, worried. Well, this is back then. And what changed everything for me was that I started focusing on heart coherence before meditation, not during, before. So let's get practical now. I would take 5 to 10 minutes before my actual meditation just to breathe deeply. Hand on my heart, focus on feelings of appreciation, not for anything specific, just the feeling itself. Like even neutrality is fine. And so this simple practice shifted my entire nervous system from survival mode to creation mode. And that's when magic started happening. Like, I don't understand how that simplicity, that simple act just went in one ear out the other. And I remember one morning specifically, I was doing the heart coherence practice and I felt this warm sensation spreading through my chest. It wasn't chemical, but it was kind of like electric. And in that moment I thought, fuck, what if I already have what I needed, right? Not as an affirmation, but as a genuine question. But that question changed everything. Because for the first time, I wasn't meditating to get something. I was meditating from a place of already having it. See the subtle difference? Now, this isn't some woo-woo technique, by the way. The Heart Math Institute has done decades of research of how heart coherence literally changes your brainwaves and our hormonal balance as well. Okay? It's like giving your nervous system a spa day or a massage. So that's the first mistake that I was making. Second one was that I was focusing on what I didn't want instead of what I did want. And I didn't even realize that I was doing it, okay? Listen to this. I would sit down in meditation thinking, I don't want to be broke anymore. I don't want to be in debt. I don't want to stress about money anymore. I don't want to be living paycheck to paycheck. Do you want to know what my subconscious heard? AKA my body? Broke, stress, paycheck to paycheck. Cool. Our subconscious doesn't process negatives. So when we say, I don't want to be broke, your brain just hears, okay, broke. Got it, boss. Here's more broke coming up. That's like having the world's most literal but completely tone-deaf assistant, okay? Now here's what changed. Well, I started focusing on the feeling of abundance, not the absence of lack, okay? Instead of, I don't want to worry about money or I don't want to worry about my debt, I focused on, I love the feeling of financial security. Instead of, I don't want to be broke, I focused on, I love the feeling of generosity and having more than enough. But here's the key, and this is where most people mess up. I didn't just change the words, I changed the feeling, okay? I actually took time to feel what financial security would feel like in my body. All right, disregard financial security, just focus on security. Same shit. How would my shoulders feel if I knew I had more than enough? How would I breathe if money was no longer a concern? How would I walk? How would I talk? How would I make decisions? Okay? That easy. I didn't say spend what you don't have. No. But I started embodying that feeling during meditation, and then, this is important, I started practicing that same feeling throughout my day. And there was this one time I got a parking ticket. Like old me would have been like, oh my God, can't afford this, right? That type of thinking. New me took a deep breath, connected to that feeling of abundance or even neutrality, and thought, okay, I can easily handle this. The ticket is just $75, but my experience was completely different, okay? But here's where it gets weird. 2 days after that parking ticket, a client that I hadn't heard of in months reached out to me. Guess what the fee was for the project? $2,500. That's right. 33 times more than the parking ticket. Coincidence? Maybe. But these coincidences started happening all the time, okay? Now, I'm not the only one that experienced these shifts. Like one of my clients, and be on the lookout for his testimony on Sunday. We worked on this exact technique. And he was like, he'd been saying he'd been practicing the meditations, the new meditations that I gave him for 10 days, and his results were amazing. Now, he was expecting funds from a Provident Department fund because he was in the military before, and he had been trying to retrieve these funds for 120 days. And so he recently got a notification for his for a refund of the expected amount plus $250 on top. And he was just grateful for that. He was like, holy crap, I did this in 10 days. Now, this isn't magical thinking, but it's about aligning your energy with what you want to create, rather than what you're trying to avoid. Okay? So be on the lookout for his testimony. It's an awesome one. It's going to inspire you so much. Sunday. Now, third mistake that I was making, and this one is counterintuitive, I was trying too hard. I was meditating with the same energy that I used to deadlift at the gym. Straining, forcing, gripping, like pushing a boulder uphill. I was concentrating so hard that you could practically see veins in my forehead and in my neck. I looked like I was trying to move objects with my mind, like rather than creating abundance. And the universe responds to our state of being, not our state of trying, okay? When you're trying to manifest something, you're operating from the assumption that you don't have it. But when you are being the person who already has it, well, you're operating from the completely different frequency. Okay, let me tell you how I changed this. I stopped trying to manifest $100,000 and started being the person who already had it. How does this person with 100K sit? How do they breathe? How do they make decisions? How do they feel in their body? That last one, remember that. How do they feel in their body? I started embodying that state of being during meditation and throughout my day. And I made decisions from that place, okay? I interacted with people from that place. That's it. Notice how there's no money involved in this already? Now the crazy part is, people started responding to me differently. Clients who had been hesitant to work with me suddenly started to reach out again and say yes. Opportunities that hadn't been available before suddenly started to appear. And it wasn't because I was visualizing harder, no. It was because I shifted my state of being. I wasn't trying to get anything, I was simply being a different frequency. Now, I want to share my daily practice that tied all of this together and really accelerated the results. So please get your notes out and write this down. Every morning I would do a 45-minute meditation using Joe's Blessing of the Energy Centers meditation, okay? But I modified it slightly because I learned from my mistakes, okay? First, before I even do the meditation, I would do 10 minutes of coherent heart breathing to get out of survival mode. Then during the meditation, instead of focusing on what I wanted to get, I focused on becoming the energy of what I wanted to experience, okay? For example, for each energy center, I would embody a different aspect of abundance. First center, security, stability, feeling safe. Second center, creativity, passion, and enjoying life. Sorry, that was switch them around. Third center, confidence, power, and knowing my worth. Fourth center, growth and expansion, and giving and receiving. Fifth center, speaking my truth and asking for what I'm worth. Sixth center, seeing opportunities, having clarity. Seventh, connecting to something greater than myself. Eighth, open to receiving what I needed in this moment. Okay? I hope you remember that. But here's what made the biggest difference. I didn't just do this in the morning and then forget about it. No. I created pattern interrupts throughout the day. Meaning, every time I checked my phone before I unlocked it, I would take big deep breaths and connect to that elevated state. Every time I would walk through a door, okay, I would think that I'm moving towards a new dimension by walking into that door. Every time I had a meeting or a call, I would take 30 seconds to breathe deeply and embody that energy of abundance. Okay? So these are simple, right? These micro moments of consciousness throughout the day, game changers. Game changers. Think of it like this. It is like charging your phone. The morning meditation is like your phone on full charge. Now, these pattern interrupts are like little top-ups throughout the day to keep your battery from draining. And so, Most people meditate in the morning and then spend the rest of their day in their old patterns. It's like taking a shower, then pouring water over yourself. Like, what was the point of that? These pattern interrupts ensured that I was maintaining that elevated state throughout the day. And that's when synchronicities started happening. Okay. Now let me walk you through the energetic shifts that happened before the money showed up, because this is so important to understand. Stop focusing on the money. I can read your thoughts right now. You're focusing on the money. No, I'm just joking. So the first shift was from anxiety to calm. Okay, this happened around day 10 to 14 of the practice. I noticed I was no longer waking up with that knot in my stomach. I wasn't checking my bank account or emails obsessively. There was a sense of ease that wasn't there before. And so the second shift was from scarcity to sufficiency. Okay, this happened around day 21. I stopped seeing everything through the lens of not enough. Instead of thinking I can't afford that, I started thinking, okay, is this going to add value to me? Right? Small shift in language, massive shift in energy. The third shift was from closed to open. Okay, listen to this. I noticed I was more open to possibilities, more willing to try new approaches, more receptive to opportunities. The fourth shift was from shift from separate to connected, and I started feeling more connected to everyone and everything. Conversations flowed more easily, relationships deepened, my network opportunities appeared out of nowhere, like I was meeting people who had exactly what I needed. But here's where it gets really interesting. That is when the money started to follow. Okay, after that shift from anxiety to calm, I received an unexpected refund of $1,200 from an old tax issue. Okay, and it was like the universe was saying to me, like, oh my God, you're calm now. All right, here's something to validate that, right? After shifting from scarcity to sufficiency, a client that I hadn't heard from in over a year reached out to me with a project, because I was back in sales and marketing back then. $8,500. He hadn't sent out the marketing emails yet, but he thought of me. After the shift from closed to open, I had a random conversation at a coffee shop that led to a $27,000 consulting opportunity. Okay, if I had been in my old energy, I probably would have been headphones in, head down, avoiding eye contact like some simp. Okay? After that shift from separate to connectedness, the biggest opportunity came. I had a business partner that brought in over $65,000 in just under a month. Okay? I didn't have to do anything for that. Was that all coincidence? Maybe. But here's what I know for sure. My energy shifted first, and then the money followed, not the other way around. Okay? It's like those people who say, I'll be happy when I have money. No. You'll have money when you're happy, or at least when you're in the energy of abundance rather than lack, okay? And it sounds, I sound like a lunatic right now, and it sounds completely backwards from how most of us are taught to think. I understand that. But do you want to think exceptionally, or do you want to think like normal people? So, when I was aligned with abundance, my body felt a certain way. My breathing was deeper, slower. My shoulder, I was so relaxed. I was peaceful. I was calm. I felt a expansion and warmth in my chest. Decisions felt clear and easy. Even time seemed different. I don't know how to describe that one. And I felt curious and creative. But when I was misaligned with abundance, my body had clear signs of that. Write this down, and you might be doing it right now. Breathing becomes shallow. The jaw feels tightened. There's a knot in my stomach. Decisions felt heavy and overthinking. Time felt like I was rushing and dragging, and I was closed off and protective. Now I start using these physical signals as my guidance system, okay? If I notice a misaligned signal, I would stop whatever I'm doing, take a few moments to shift my energy back by breathing deeply, okay? Sometimes it's as simple as stepping outside to get some fresh air or a few deep breaths. Other times, I needed a longer reset, like maybe a workout, taking a cold shower, meditating, walking in nature, whatever. I don't care. I just needed to get out of that state. The key is catching the misalignment early before it becomes your dominant state, okay? That is like noticing you're veering in a different lane in the highway and you just make a small correction. Oh shit, let me go back on track, okay? It's as easy as that. It's as easy as that. But there was this one time as well, I lost a client. And it would have been worth about $12,000 back then. Old me would have been like, oh my God, how am I going to pay my team? Instead, I took a couple of big deep breaths, paused, take a couple of big deep breaths. I felt the disappointment and worry, and I released it. I watched it move through my body. Then I got myself back into a place of neutrality. Now listen, the very next day, and I swear I'm not making this up, I got an email from a different potential client who ended up paying me $20,000 for a project. To me, it was like the universe saying, you passed the test, here's your upgrade, right? But I don't like saying the universe tests me. It checks my frequency. Okay? So, it's worth it, guys. It's worth it. Like, that's all I want to say. Because it also happened to my client Abhinav. And I already told you, like, you have to watch out for that testimony on Sunday. That's the best. I don't want to describe it. I want you to experience it. But anyway, why does becoming the energy of abundance work? Why does becoming the energy of abundance work better than seeking abundance itself, or the actual $100,000? That was the biggest revelation to me. Okay, listen. When you are seeking something, you're operating from the frequency of not having it. Okay, but when you become the frequency of what you want to experience, just simply choosing to become it, you are no longer trying to receive a distant signal. Okay, you're broadcasting on the same, I don't know how to make like a broadcasting sound, but you're broadcasting on the same frequency as what you want to attract. Now you're the radio station, not just the receiver. Okay, this is why I have beef with affirmations vision boards, and it often doesn't work with people because they're trying to attract something while vibrating at a completely different frequency. Okay, that is like trying to attract a peaceful relationship while being angry all the time. Good luck. The frequencies don't match. Because like attracts like. The shift from seeking to becoming was the single most powerful change I ever made. Instead of asking, how can I get more money? I started asking, who would I be if I were already abundant? And then I become that person, okay? It's that simple. Focus on who you're becoming. Focus on the frequency, okay? That is like my cats, okay? My cats versus chasing my cats and attracting them with treats. And I've got 2 cats. In the second, when I am chasing my cat, the cat is like running away. But if I'm giving them treats, the cat comes to me. Okay? The same thing with this. It is certain energies are attracted to you, and certain energies are repulsed by you. Okay? That is why coherence alone created more results than mental rehearsal. Because for years I'd been mentally rehearsing what I wanted, the money, the lifestyle, the freedom, the business. I could all see it vividly in my meditation, in my mind, but nothing changed externally. But what I didn't understand was that visualization without coherence, okay, visualization without coherence is daydreaming. That's it. Coherence is when your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are aligned. It's when you think what you think. When you think what you want, yeah, thoughts, feelings, behaviors align. And so I could visualize abundance all day long. But if my body was in a state of stress and my emotions were rooted in fear, oh my God, what kind of mixed signals are you sending to the universe, right? 1 foot on the gas, 1 foot on the brake. Like, what the heck are you doing? That's what the signals are. So when I focused on creating coherence first, aka aligning my physical state, emotions, behaviors, thoughts, that's when things started to shift. And then my visualizations became more powerful because it was now supported by my being, my body, not just my thoughts. So here's a simple way to understand it. Visualization is like placing an order at a restaurant. Coherence is actually like having the money to pay for the meal when it arrives, okay? Both are necessary parts of the process. I started focusing on creating coherence before visualization, and that made all the difference, okay? Remember that. Now, I want to give you a practical example of this. So I want to share the daily habits that kept my frequency high despite external circumstances going wrong. Let's just say that. Because let's be real, life doesn't stop happening when you are in a high frequency or just because you're experimenting with manifestation. During this process, I still had to pay bills. I still had clients to deal with. I had family drama. I had a broken water heater. Like, life was still lifing all over the place, okay? I bet you for even Dr. Joe, life still lifes for him. But these aren't complicated practices, but they were consistent. And consistency is what builds new neural pathways. It's like working out. One trip to the gym won't give you abs, but consistent training over time will give you a transformation in your body. So, What did I learn from this 90-day experiment that generated over $100,000? Well, I learned that manifestation isn't about getting something or focusing on the external, focusing on the $100,000 itself, but it's about becoming someone new, changing yourself so that the $100,000 can come easily to me. I learned that the external world is just a reflection of your internal state. Change the internal and the external must follow. I also learned that consistency beats intensity every time. Small daily practices maintained over time creates more lasting change than occasional bursts of effort. But more importantly, I learned that abundance isn't something you chase. It's something you tune into by changing your frequency. And so the 100K wasn't the miracle, but the transformation in my energy, that was the miracle. That was the miracle. The money was just evidence of that shift. And if you're watching this and thinking, oh, this sounds great, but will it work for me? I get it. I was skeptical too. And for 3 years, I was that person watching videos and thinking, yeah, right, or looking for that miracle strategy or technique. But what I want you to know is the principles are universal. The application is personal. Your journey won't look exactly like mine, but the fundamental shifts are the same. So start with coherence first. Get yourself out of survival. Focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Stop trying so hard and start being the energy of what you want to attract. And also create a recognition system for alignment versus misalignment, okay? Develop the daily habits that maintain your frequency. And if you want results like Abby and me, there is a link in the description. But I want you to leave this video remembering that you are not broken and you don't need fixing. I mean that. You just tune into a frequency that's creating your current reality right now. All you have to do is change your frequency, and then you will change your reality. And it really is that simple and profound.